So in Parshas Vayetze, we learn the story of Yaakov leaving Vayetze. He leaves Eretz Yisrael, Vayetze Yaakov Be'er Sheva, and he goes Charon Af Shalolam, into the anger of the world. The world is like Helem v'Hester, hidden, hides godliness. And it is very symbolic and the beginning of the going to Golus, exile. It's the parable of the Jew leaving Eretz Yisrael and going into Golus. And from Yaakov's trials and tribulation by Lavan, and the way he deals with it, and then leaves Lavan wealthy with family, children, everything that he gathered by Lavan coming back to Eretz Yisrael, we learn that we will be able to, Emet Hashem, go back to Eretz Yisrael, the Geula Amitis V'Hashlema, with all the nitzatzot kedusha and everything that we were sent down here. It's the neshama. It's not only the galus of Am Yisrael from Eretz Yisrael to Galus. It's the yirida of the neshama going down into this world with the purpose of gathering everything that she can to go back up on a higher state, in a better place. And this is the purpose of every Yerida, it's Aliyah. And the Haftara touches on this subject and stops a lot on the time that we are in Golus, how we are pulled away by external things, how we come down full of love with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, come down from a very high level where we were tachat kiseh hakavod, the neshama, with gold and silver, which is like a simile of the, an example of great things that we have up in Shamayim, and how we come down to this world and either material things, an abundance of gashmias pulls us away, or suffering and pain pulls us away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Really, the theme of the Parsha, I feel, and we see it later in the Haftara, is bitachon and faithfulness to Hashem, having faith, like Yaakov went away, Ishtam Yoshevo Halim. He was this innocent, learning Talmid Chacham, sitting the first 15 years, he was being taught by Avram, his grandfather, and then he was with Yitzchak, his father, and then he goes to the Yeshiva Shem Ve'ever for 14 years, and then he gets thrown into this world, and he goes later to Lavan, and there he marries, trials and tribulation of married life, few wives, children, parnasa, and he's faithful. He's faithful, waits for Rachel, works 7 years, and then works again 7 years, and works again for Lavan. And the whole time with bitachon Hashem, he has both things that exile could do to us, suffering and also abundance of wealth. And he comes back. Later we see in the following parsha that he comes back to and meets Esav and says, Im Lavan garti v'taryag mitzvot shamarti. I lived with Lavan, I was in Golus, and I came back whole with the Torah and mitzvahs. So this is really the theme of the parsha, to learn from the faithfulness of Yaakov Avinu to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, so let's see if I could open it up here, because my computer went down, so I hope it's here. Here it is, but I don't think I could give it to you. Let me see, I must open it here. Open 1 second, please. Let me open this. Could you see my screen at the moment? Do you see the screen or not?
Yes, we can see your screen. Thank you.
Myself, or do you see Chabad.org?
No, I saw you.
Okay, so I have to open up the screen. Okay, 1 second, please. I will put this down, and now I'll go back to the screen. Okay, I had it all prepared. I tried to be very prepared, and it didn't work because my computer was just going down. Okay, so now you see the Haftarah, right? Okay, this Haftarah, we'll be learning it with the Chayenu and with Haftarah, the Navi that I have here. The Haftarah here is from Hosea. Okay, Hosea is one of the Nevi'im that lived with the northern tribes in times of Am Yisrael having two, after Shlomo HaMelech, we were divided to two kingdoms, Malchus Yehuda and Malchus Binyamin. The northern and the southern tribes. The northern tribes were the 10 tribes, and Hosea lived amongst them. The biggest of all these 10 tribes was the tribe, the Shevet Ephraim. And here he is talking to like the Shevet Ephraim, and he is admonishing them. It's really tochacha. Tochacha means admonishment, telling them to return to Hashem, reminding them of the bad ways, that the sins that they are doing, and how they should be faithful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and how HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't leave them. And he brings the example of faithfulness in this Haftarah of Yaakov. Okay, so we have here Yaakov mentioned, and the two types of exiles, what can happen in exile that pulls us away from Hashem, either suffering and pain or an abundance, a lot of material wealth that we think, we're doing good without God's help. So this is really the theme of this Haftarah. The Haftarah also mentions Yaakov's running away. Let's see where I see it. Let me put up the Rashi commentaries. Also, I think let's see where he mentions Yaakov. It has here 2 prakim. We're learning the Chabad Haftarah. Many Haftarahs, the Sfardim continue a little more, and Ashkenazim even more. Here you see in the Haftarah and the pasuk Yud Gimel 13, he brings Yaakov as it's the last 2 psukim, and Yaakov fled to the fields of Aram, and Yisrael worked for a wife, and for a wife he guarded. He's going back, like Rashi says, like a person says, let's return to the previous topic, because in between there is admonishment, which we'll go back to, and reminding Am Yisrael that Hashem won't leave us. He went down with us to the exile. He's not leaving us. He is with us. And he finishes off, and I jump straight to the end to connect it to the parsha, like a person who says, let's return to the previous topic, for we spoke above in verse 5. He strove with an angel. Yaakov fought with an angel, and moreover, I did this for him when he was forced to flee the field of Aram, and you know how I guarded him. Okay, that Hashem guards us. Hashem is with us always, always. And like if you're trying to shake me off, Hashem is saying, I'm with you even in the exile. I think in one of the sichos, the Rebbe brings this as a source, that when we went to exile, Hashem goes with us. Okay, so let's see what the Torah, what the Haftara is telling. The Navi Hosea is turning to the king, Yeravam. Yeravam, the son of Nevat, really started off as a good king. When I say good, is good to God and good to the people. But then he switched and became an idol worshiper, and he also taxed the people very, very much. I read an interesting, I'm trying to see where, interesting reason why he thought he could tax the people. Just see where I wrote it. Okay. All right. Here in the Chayenu, actually, he says that the first king of the northern kingdom was Yeravam, the son of Nevat. Yes, in the southern was the son of Shlomo Melech, and here's the son of Nevat. And although Yeravam led the 10 tribes in according to Hashem's prophecy to him, he quickly fell into sinful leadership after establishing his rule. And one of the sins was how he taxed and made himself wealthy from the people's money. And how did he justify this? It's interesting. He justified this policy by invoking the following twisted combination of Jewish history and law. This is when you take Torah and you twist it. And he says, and based on not the Parsha, but Yaakov Avinu, says that after Yaakov Avinu was nifter, Yosef's brothers suspected that Yosef's regard for them will, his anger at them for selling him, and he will not respect them. And therefore, as it's written in the Torah, they came and they said to him, "We'll be your slave. Let us work for you." Which Yosef, of course, we know he didn't agree. So but Yeravam thought if they became slaves for Yosef, whatever a slave owns, a slave's possession belongs to the master. So if he's the master, then the descendants of Yosef have to give him all the money. Let me read it from within. It says, according to Jewish law, whatever a slave acquires belongs to his master. Thus, as Joseph's descendant, Yeravam ben Nevat, right, he proclaimed himself the true owner of all Israel's wealth. His successors, the king of Israel, this is Malchut Yisrael, and the southern states are called Malchut Yehuda, continue to use this excuse in order to oppress their subjects. And this is one of the things that the Haftara talks about, how they oppressed the Jewish people. Okay, so here the Navi is talking to Yeravam and also turning to the people to come back and to be faithful like Yaakov Avinu. Okay, like I said, he calls it Ephraim, but it's to the how shall I give you Ephraim? How to deliver you, O Yisrael? How shall I make you as Adma and as Tzvaim, 2 areas? My heart is turned within me. Together, my remorse has been kindled. And he says, I will not execute the kindling of my anger. I will not, wipe you out. I will not destroy Ephraim, for I am Hashem, and not a man that when gets angry destroys. I am in your midst. I will not enter the city. Okay, let's try to figure out what he's saying. Hashem says, I am here with you. I will not go away. I have not, look what Rashi says, I have not rejected them, nor have I abhorred them to destroy Ephraim. In other words, Hashem is like saying, look how angry I am that really you would expect me to destroy you. But I am Hashem who keeps his word. I promised you that I will not destroy. And then he says, I will not enter a city. What city is he talking about? The city of Yerushalayim. Which Yerushalayim? According to Chassidus, Yerushalayim Shalmala. And I would like to soon expound on that. But first, let's do what does Rashi say. It's like Hashem saying, I'm not looking for a different capital, for a different country, for a different nation. I have already promised to cause my Shekhinah to rest in your midst in Yerushalayim. I will never again cause it to rest on another city. Okay, I'd like to read you what Chassidus says on that, which is I found very interesting. Let me just find where. Where did I find that? I wrote it somewhere. 1 second. Okay. Says the sages interpret this word that Hashem declares that he will not enter Yerushalayim Shel Mala until he re-enters Yerushalayim Shel Mata. Down here, the Yerushalayim down here. He will not enter the upper, the celestial, could we say, Shamayim. This is one of the allusions to the fact that Hashem went to Galus together with Am Yisrael and anxiously awaits the Geula Hashlema. And so the Geula is not only our Geula, it's also the Geula of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And now I'd like to read you something from, I think, Torah R. So see. Where it says, allegorically, Yerushalayim represents Yira, awe of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yiru is Yira, Shalem, it's the complete awe, the complete Yira of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a higher Yira and a lower Yira. There's two types of awe. The lower awe is the awe of Hashem that we feel when we think of Hashem's greatness. That's a lower. The higher awe, Yira, is when we consider, consider Hashem and his essence, that it transcends, it's above creation. Lower is within creation. It's awe of Hashem, how we feel Hashem here, and the greatness of Hashem. But higher is even when Hashem is me'al, even greater. And what does Chassidus teach us? The fact that Hashem is saying he will not enter the higher Yerushalayim until he re-enters the lower Yerushalayim. That means what comes first? The lower Yerushalayim, and then entering the higher Yerushalayim. It means, in this context, that we cannot relate to Hashem through the higher form of Yira until we first relate to him via the lower form of Yira. For the gateway to the higher is going through the lower. First, we have to work on our Yir Shamayim down here, and then we could go to a transcendent type of Yir Shamayim. Okay, so this is what Hashem is saying. Lo ashuv, I will not return. I will not go away. I have not rejected, nor I have abhorred them. I will keep my word to be only trying to get into the first Yerushalayim down here, and then to the higher Yerushalayim. I feel it's a very comforting feeling that Hashem is like with us, helping us go through to find the Yerushalayim in this world. And we see it now so much. I feel we see it so much. I want to share with you, I was last week I came back 2 nights ago from New York, regards from George, 770, the Ohel. And I was at the Ohel and I'm davening, and then I pick up my eyes, and opposite me, I see one of the Chatufim. What's his name? I'll soon remember his name. From Kiryat Malachi. At first, my mind went blank. His name, when I stood there, I remembered his name because I davened for him a lot. And there he was standing in front of me. And it was really, really, he was emotional. We were all emotional. And he was saying that I want to read, and he, like, everybody stopped davening because he wanted to say some words. And he says, I want to thank everybody and the Rebbe for davening for me. And I want to say the Perek, Tehillim, that was his Perek when he was a security guard. It's bothering me now that I can't remember his name all of a sudden. A security guard in the Nova Festival. And how the Perek that was his Perek while he was in captivity, he wanted to read that Perek because he said that Perek kept him strong because he knew it was his Perek. And it talks about being in captivity and being released. So he knew that he's going to get out. And he read it out loud, and we all said it with him. Meaning he felt Hashem went, and I saw on him that how he felt Hashem was with him. He was in captivity. He was in tunnels. He was in the darkest of places, but he felt Hashem went with him. And here in this parak, Hashem is saying, I am going with you. Like we see in the verse 9, I will not execute my anger. For I am Hashem, I'm in your midst, I'm with you. And I won't go into your shalayim till you guys come here. I'm meaning, and like we learned in Chassidus, I will evoke in you the Yer Shamayim from below in order to get to the Yer Shamayim from above. It was really very, very emotional, and we see it with a lot of the following day. I saw Motzei Shabbat, a whole group of hostages came to the Ohel, and now I see that even Matan and his mother Anat, Tzukum, whatever their last name is, I can't pronounce it, who were so like angry and very, very, they looked like they were far. Look how they came near. Look how they came near. Also felt that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was with them. And this is evoking the Yira from Tata, the lower fair, and that will, in Mez Hashem, evoke the higher level of a greater awe. Okay, in verse 10, we have another very interesting thing. Before I continue, I I would say the Parsha talks a lot about davening. Yaakov here davens. It's the story of the ladder of Yaakov's dream with his tefillahs going up and then coming down, with the angels going up and then the angels coming down. And here he sets the tefillahs arvis, the night prayer. And then we have the story of Leah, how she davens that she shouldn't marry Esav. There's a lot about prayer. And prayer evokes an awe to Hashem, a connection to Hashem. And we see a lot, I say again, the hostages and Am Yisrael, we're back into praying, connecting to Hashem by speaking to Him, by looking ways of how to speak to Hashem, to connect to Hashem. Like the hostage, that the only thing he knew was Borei Minei Mizonot, and that's what he said. He felt like he's talking to Hashem. These are the words that he found. And really, we should teach the children more prayers by heart of Shema Yisrael and others, and the psukim that the Rebbe said to children to say, that we should be able to know how to turn to him and have the words coming out from our mouths. Okay, verse 10. Hashem, here the Navi says, Acharei Hashem yelchu, they will follow the Lord. He shall roar like a lion, for he shall roar, and the children shall hasten from the west. Here he's talking about going. Okay, you know what? Let's see. What is he talking about here in this passage? So let's see first what Rashi says. Rashi says, he will yet roar to them like a lion, that they leave the exile and follow him. Hashem is trying to wake us up. He's like a lion roaring that we should leave, follow. Don't be satisfied with where you are, whether it's material wealth and thinking, oh, I don't have to get out of Galus. It's okay. Fine. I don't need a geula. The hefech, he's roaring and saying, wake up. Leave the Galus. And the exiles shall be gathered from the west, from, okay, here actually, in the Mefarshim, he's talking to Ephraim, who later does go into exile, these 10 tribes. And then the second part of the parak is talking to the tribes of Yehuda, which were left just 2 tribes, Yehuda and Binyamin, and saying, learn, look what happened to them. Don't fall into the same trap of sinning and then going into exile. And here Hashem's saying, I'm roaring, trying to get you out. And quickly, he even says, in a quick way, hasten. Okay, and he continues, they shall hasten like a bird from Egypt and like a dove from the land of Ashur, Assyria, and I will place them in their houses, Hashem says. I'll soon go back to these 2 psukim according to Chassidus. And the Haftara continues to the next chapter. Ephraim has, now he goes back to the rebuke. Ephraim has surrounded me with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit, but Yehuda still rules with Hashem, and the Holy One is faithful. Okay, Ephraim sinned, but Yehuda not yet. He is still faithful. Okay, he's now turning to the tribes of Yehuda. Many of the Mefarshim say that this Haftara was chosen with these words because they're really describing in the way the Parsha describes Lavan. Deceit, lies, and saying Ephraim fell into, meaning the 10 tribes, fell into the ways of Lavan, not in the ways of Yaakov. Yaakov was faithful, Ne'eman. But Lavan was like, how is it that Ephraim behaves like a Lavan and not like a Yaakov? Some of the Mefarshim say that. Okay, what does Rashi say? Ephraim and the house of Israel have already surrounded me with lies and deceit, meaning the kings of the 10 tribes and all the people. But Yehuda, which is the 2 other Shvatim, right, north and south, still rules with fear of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he's like warning Yehuda, don't learn from what Ephraim did. Look what happened to Ephraim. Okay. And then he says, Ephraim joins the wind, chases the east wind, and all day increases deceit and plunder, and they make a treaty with Ashur, and oil is brought to Egypt. Ashur and Egypt. We had here Ashur and Egypt, and in verse 11 also Ashur, Assyria, and Egypt. These are 2 types of galus. These are 2 exiles that we went through, and they represent 2 different types here. Okay, let's read it till the end, and then we'll go back to Chasidus. Why is Ashur and Mitzrayim brought here? Okay, so he says Ephraim joined the winds. Rashi says he became a friend. Wind is idolatry, and oil from Mitzrayim to bribe. Their oil they carried to Egypt to give a bribe to Egypt to aid them. Reminds me of how we gave up all the oil fields of Sinai to Mitzrayim, and how the Rebbe was so upset, so upset. How do you give Sinai to Mitzrayim? And here we see it's history, how history repeats itself. And Hashem is now talking to Yehuda. And now the Hashem is talking to Yehuda, is fighting with Yehuda to visit upon Yaakov according to his ways, according to his deeds. Learn. He relates to them the matters of his contention with which their brethren, the house of Israel, has done to him. So they should not wonder when he visits retribution on Yaakov according to his way. Look at what's going on with the 10 Shvatim, so you'll understand, Chas Hashem, if I have to do it with you. And he goes back to Yaakov and he says, in the womb, what happened with Yaakov? He seized his brother's heel, and with his strength, he strove with an angel. He fought. All this I did for him. He held, look at what Rashi says, he held him by the heel as a sign that he will master over him. He strove with an angel and prevailed. He wept and besieged him. Learn from Yaakov. In Bet-El he shall find Hashem, and there he shall speak with us. Hashem will speak with us. He wept, the angel wept. And here he tells the story of what happened in our parsha. I will not let you go unless you bless me. Let me go now. Eventually Hashem will reveal himself to you in Bet-El, and you will find him, and he will speak with us, and he and I agree with you concerning the blessings that Isaac blessed you. Now the angel was Yitzchak's sar, and he was fighting for the blessing. What is Hashem, the Navi saying here to Am Yisrael? Esau was trying to get the blessings from Yaakov. Even the angel of Esau fought with Yaakov. Hashem saying, I bless Yaakov. You are blessed. Why are you going to Ashur? Why are you going to Egypt? Why are you bribing Egypt? You're the blessed one. Why are you falling into the hands and following the hands of the Goyim? And Hashem, Tzvaot, Asher, Zichro, and Hashem is his name. And just as I was then, so I am now. And had you walked with me wholeheartedly, like Yaakov, your father, you see what Rashi says, I would have acted towards you as I acted towards him. But Hashem is saying, the Navi, Hashem is saying through the Navi, Tam Yisrael, in the times of Yeravam ben Nevat, look how I helped Yaakov through all the trials of tribulation in the times of his 20 years in Lavan's house. Yaakov went through everything, being cheated, lied to, starved, everything you could think of. And I was with him. And he left. We were able to see the end. He left with so much wealth and such a large family and so many things that Esau feared him. Esau feared him. Hashem says that, Maseh Avot Siman Lebanim. That was to get the story that we are reading in the Parsha is to give you strength to go through it in the Galut. It's the same story. And like I was with Yaakov, and he went through it, and he was faithful, you should also now be faithful. And you shall return to Hashem. Keep loving kindness and justice. Tashuv chesed u'mishpat shmor. It's a very strong pasuk. And hope, v'kave el elokecha tamid, and hope to your God always. It's a pasuk of bitachon, of instructions. Ata be'elokecha tashuv, you should return to Hashem. Chesed u'mishpat shmor. This is like 3 steps. Return to Hashem. Keep chesed and mishpat, which is loving kindness and justice, and believe in Hashem. And hope, kaveh, believe in Hashem. Like Rashi says, you can rely and return to him only. Keep loving kindness and justice, and you may be assured to hope for his salvation always. You know, people think you have to deceit, you have to lie, you have to cheat in order to succeed. And the pasuk is saying, no, on his promise and his support, which he promises you, you can rely and return to him. Only keep loving kindness and justice, and you may be assured to hope for his salvation always. And he says, Canaan biado, a trafficker who has deceitful scales in his hands, he loves to oppress. It's just the opposite of the previous verse about loving kindness and justice. A person who is a cheat, has deceitful scales in his hand, and he loves to oppress. I want to learn this pasuk also with Chassidus. So let's see if I can finish the next 4 psukim quickly. And Ephraim says, so Hashem is telling us this, but what did Ephraim say? Surely I have become rich. Verse 9, I have found power for myself. All my toil shall not be sufficed for my iniquity, which is sin. He's boastful. He said, now why should I worship? Look what Rashi says. Why should I worship Hashem? Blessed be he. Here's what I said before. I could take the money from the people and be wealthy. Okay, let's see here what Rashi says. Yerovam ben Nevat, who was from the tribe of Ephraim, boasts and declares, surely I have become rich. I have found a deed for myself, one deed, that all Israel are my slaves, for my father acquired them. And this is what I told you about Yosef, his, what I read before. And Hashem says to him, I am Hashem. And he erected two calves, one in Bethel and one in Dan. And according to the simple meaning, Hashem, you say, I have found power for myself through oppression and deceitful scales. And Hashem says, I am the Lord Hashem from the land of Egypt. There I distinguished between a droplet of seed of the firstborn and a droplet which was not a firstborn. I know an exact retribution from deceitful scales made without understanding, and from one who hides his weights in salt in order to deceive. You are deceiving them with your scales. I, Hashem, could differentiate and distinguish even a little seed of a difference in the scales. Okay, and like Rashi continues, all your wealth will not remain with you on the day of the retribution of your sin. I am Hashem from the land of Mitzrayim, and I will yet make you dwell in tents as the day of early times. I will take you out of Mitzrayim. I will cut off from your midst deceitful traffickers, and I will cause you to dwell in tents. I will set up amongst you students, tents, meaning students who will be learning Torah, as there were in the times of Yaakov, the unpretentious man. Ishtam Yoshev Ohalim. Yaakov symbolizes Ohel because he was called Yoshev Ohalim, a person who dwells in the tent and learns Torah, versus Esav that didn't. And I will increase prophets, their visions. I appear to them in many likenesses. Another explanation, I give my word likeness to them through allegories in order to make them comprehensible to listeners. Okay, and here it talks again about the Avodah Zarah, and he goes back to the story of Yaakov. This is the Haftara that Chabad says. In other congregations, they continue a little further. I would like to go back to some of, oh boy, my battery is dying. I would like to go back to some of the psukim. We had the pasuk 10, let's see, about the roaring lion, not in this parak, but in the one before. That's it. Here, 10. He shall roar like a lion, right? And he says, I hope the battery doesn't die out, unless you give me a minute to get my battery. I'm so sorry today. Don't want to lose you. Second point. Okay. Really sorry about that. I'm a little slow. I fell in New York. So I'm limping. I'm not really up to par. Okay. He shall roar like a lion. So, according to Chassidus, allegorically, this verse and the following one alludes to the process. This has a lot to do with us, to the process we prepare ourselves for the spiritual growth and establishing a new relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Our inner lion is our divine soul. Like we said, Yaakov is the story of Yaakov is the story of the soul coming out down to this earth, leaving Eretz Yisrael, going to Haran. So it's our inner lion is our divine soul, the part of Hashem within us that roars in its desire to summon us back to divine life. It's the lion within us that is roaring, like, what are you busy with? We arouse our inner lion by contemplating, firstly, how the world and everything in it is a facade. True reality is divine energy that enlivens everything, okay? You see that everything really is Kedusha. This leads to the contemplation of divine creative energy that is eminent throughout creation. This leads us to think everything has a spark of Kedusha, everything that was created. This, in turn, leads to contemplation of divine creative energy that transcends creation, right? There's the Memale and the Sovev. These are that's the language of Chassidus. This leads, finally, to how Hashem himself transcends his own creative energy altogether. In other words, that the energy that transcends the world, and then the energy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's beyond creation, 3 levels. All this excites us. That's like a lion, makes us roar, motivating us to seek out, follow Hashem, instead of pursuing the unending but ultimately unfulfilling distractions from material world. When we think about it, of Hashem's energy in the creation, Hashem's energy with, that's around, and then Hashem's energy that's in od milvadoi, beyond, it makes you want to roar, your soul, right? The repetition of he will roar, if you remember the pasuk, I know I closed it, the verse says twice, he will roar, indicates that even those who are already focused on Hashem's need to roar, need to hear the roar of their souls. For since Hashem is infinite, our ascent to him is likewise infinite. It says twice because, one second. Because even if you're connected to Hashem, you have to constantly hear that roar, not be satisfied, because if you're satisfied, then you go down. Okay, and he says, these 2 verses that we said before refer to 2 categories of Jews who are already enjoying a close relationship to Hashem, and therefore of being his children, like he mentioned in the pasuk, and those who feel distance, exile. We had the 10 tribes that were exiled, and still Malchus Yehuda, who is still close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The cause of this feeling of distance can take in 2 general forms. The first is we feel spiritually trapped by the material world, inherent materiality, and therefore unable to express ourselves. This is the exile of Mitzrayim. Okay, remember we said there are two exiles, Mitzrayim and Ashur. Of Mitzrayim, which Mitzrayim means constriction, Mitzarim ugvulot, Mitzar, constricted. The second is when we feel simply dulled by overindulged to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to Kedusha, because of the excess of material gratification, abundance of materialistic things that we're surrounded by. And this is the exile of Ashur. Ashur, Assyria. Ashur is from the word Ashir, meaning, or Osher. It's really Osher, I'm sorry, with an aleph. Osher. You're maushar, you're happy, you're satisfied. The fact that both categories of Jews are mentioned in this verse implies that the spiritual process described here applies to both. This is taken from a Maimer in Sefer HaMaimarim. Okay? It's telling us how we have to awaken that lion, that roar, to roar and to feel it and to make it be heard. I saw someplace else. I just want to say one more thing. Why is it used? I'm trying to decide. Too many books. That he mentions that they are like a dove and a bird, roar like a which shows strength, and a dove and a bird which shows faithfulness. That within all this galut, we should be like a dove and a bird that is faithful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If there is time, okay, I have one more thing, but we could save it for next time. When he talks about, I'll just mention it, that when he talks about the deceitful merchant, it's an analogy for the, and the analogy to the soul, how it is found below, enclosed in a body. It's like deceitful, because really its natural tendency of the body is to do evil. But the soul, the merchant who intends to profit from this bodily investment, the soul is using the body in order to get closer to Hashem. But while the soul did enjoy an intense love of Hashem while above in heaven, its love will ultimately be strengthened by withstanding the challenges that it faces in this world. This is from Torah. So if the soul is really using the body to get to a higher level of the gold and silver they had up there. The gold and silver that we're gathering here in the way of sparks of Gedusha will be even greater than the gold and silver that we have before we came down. Okay, it's we did a lot of chassidus of Perek, of Novi, Hosea, which is really a Perek of just no, and to the both kingdoms after Shlomo Melech's times, that it was times Shlomo Melech one kingdom, and then it was broken up to two, Malchus Yehuda and Malchus Yisrael. And Malchus Yisrael is the 10 tribes that goes into Galus. To learn from Yaakov, this week's Parsha, faithfulness, bitachon in Hashem, to turn to Hashem, and Hashem is with us. Like Hashem says to Yaakov in this Parsha, I am going with you, and I will come back with you, back to Eretz Yisrael. and it should be techef umiyad mamash b'geula amitית v'ashlema. I'm wishing everybody a great week, hatzlacha in everything, whether it's our
Amen,
study,
amen. Thank you. Toda.
everything that we
Toda.
do, and we should
Amen.
get strength from this Haftarah in our davening, in our connection to Hashem, in our looking for Hashem, in all the sparks that is in this physical world that we are collecting.
You're right.
Take care. Shavua
Thank
tov,
you.
everybody.
Shabbat tov. Thank you. Toda rabba.
Thank you.
כל
Thank you.
טוב.
בשורות
כל
טובות
טוב.
לכולם.
Shavua tov.
Thank you. Toda.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.